I need help. My husband won't come home.
Pac-Man, I can help.
Get him, Pac-Man!
Stand back.
My name is Joel, and this is my garage. When we moved into this house, my wife and I agreed that we said, we're not going to fill our garage up with boxes of old Christmas decorations and random soft toys that we don't know what we're going to do with. So we're going to commit to using that space for something fun, and that's what happened in here. We decided to put the arcade collection in here and turn it into a space that not only I could enjoy with my collection, but also a space that other people could enjoy when they come over and feel comfortable to be in, whether they like gaming or not. We have the pinball, we have the arcade machines, but also we have a movie projector, we have a sound system, screens for watching the football, chairs for people to sit at, a little bar, fridges, beers, all that kind of stuff. So anyone can come in here and sort of feel comfortable sort of hanging out whether they want to play the games or not. This is Bombjack. Most people who will have seen Bombjack in the US will probably have seen it in a 60-in-1 board. It's not a game that was distributed a lot in the US. It did pretty well in Europe, Japan, Australia, but it was an arcade game, and it was a very cool game. Now, Bombjack was never actually a dedicated machine. It was always a kit that you would get to convert some other machine, obviously, into Bombjack. And in the kit you would get the control panel and you get the marquee, but there were two kinds of bezels that came with it. The first one was a very generic cardboard yellow bezel with a black printed pyramid on it, and that's the one that you're going to see most commonly. This is the deluxe version, which is the full screen printed on glass artwork. Now, finding one of these was sort of tantamount to trying to find some unicorn poop. It is absolutely one of the worst things to try and track down in the world. I was very lucky in that a friend of mine, oh no, vertical scroll. Look, it knows it's on camera. When I was about 12 years old, I think that's about the first time that I can remember sort of playing arcade games. We used to have a little arcade down by the river, because I'm originally from Chester, which is, it's an old sort of Roman city, but there is a river that runs right through the middle of the city. It's called the River Dee, and there was a little tiny arcade down by the river, and we used to go down there and play on the games they had. They probably didn't have more than about, I would say, 8 machines, maybe 10 machines in there. The games that I can remember that stood out the most were Gauntlet, Akari Warriors, Space Harrier Deluxe. Now that was the full motion Space Harrier, the one you got in it and it moved, you had the joystick and you pull back on the whole thing and it sort of fly around all over the place. That is actually still one of my grail games that I've yet to manage to track down. But the one game that we played all the time was Paperboy. Now the key to scoring big points in Paperboy is damage. It's not about delivering the papers, it's about causing the most damage. I got my first Paperboy about 5 years ago, and that was the first arcade machine that I ever bought. It wasn't actually the first game I restored. I actually restored a Donkey Kong first, even though I got that after the Paperboy. The Paperboy kind of sat for a little while I tried to work out what I was going to do with it. But yeah, that turned into sort of a huge project that it became this overly elaborate labor of love that I think a lot of people in the community enjoy, but it certainly isn't all original. The preservationists and the purists certainly don't consider it to be a good example of a Paperboy. There was diamond plate on the game, we chromed out all the handlebars, I completely recreated all the artwork for the sides of the cabinet. I wanted to take something that was sort of a lot more personal to Paperboy, recreate that artwork, and create a piece for the side. I also tracked down all of the developers and the engineers and the artists and even the guy that made the control panel, the handlebars, in a sort of real creepy stalkerish type of way. I found them and they were dotted all over the country. The artist that actually created all the original cartoon sort of graphics for Paperboy now sort of paints fine watercolor landscapes, is retired. So each one of those guys has a really sort of interesting story because they all kind of fanned out when they left Atari. I managed to track them all down and said, hey, look, you know, I'm doing this big restore on this machine. It was my childhood favorite. What I really want to do is I want to put some plaques on the game with your signature on that sort of said what you did, how you were involved in the project, and I just want to put them on the machine as a tribute. And every single one of them was just amazing. They were thrilled that I was doing this with the machine. It brought back a lot of nostalgia and memories for them. And they were so cool. It was a really great sort of opportunity to tap right back into a piece of arcade history that was not only personal to me, but was also personal to them as the people that came up with a game that at the time they didn't even know was going to be successful. For me, it's about restoring pieces of art, really. I know that sounds cliche, but as a kid, I didn't have any money, like any money at all. So I would go to the arcades and I would watch my friends play, and I would walk around the room and I would look at the games, listen to the sounds, I would look at the cabs and the artwork, and you'd really sort of identify them as individual pieces. And I think now, as a collector and a restorer, for me the motivation is to try and sort of bring them back to that original glory, to see them in the way that I saw them as a child, as a complete package, not just strictly as gameplay, but as an identifiable entity that delivers a whole experience. And part of that experience is walking up to it, standing in front of it, and interacting with it. Star Wars Cockpit. For a lot of people, this is a grail of arcade collecting. Obviously, hugely iconic because of the movies, but also the cockpit itself really gives you a different experience when playing Star Wars. When you're sitting inside the cockpit playing the game, it feels completely different. It came with a 25-inch Amplifone Vector monitor, color Vector monitor. When I found this machine, I actually bought this on KLOV, Killer List of Video Games on the internet, and it was bad. It was stored in a barn. When I got it, it was like covered, it was like a layer of mud all over it. Like someone had actually gone out and got a bucket of mud and carefully sort of put a film of the mud all over the machine. I don't know what the hell had gone on with it. And it took me a lot just to clean it all off. There was families of badgers living inside it and spiders, and oh, it was crazy. This is my Star Wars cockpit. It's not perfect, but it's mine. All right, who's up for dollar warlords? Because if you can't throw in, you can't play. You pay to play. Boom, one whole American crispy dollar. Boom. 2, 3. All right, okay.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I see you coming for me, come on.
And so the smack talk starts. Oh, here we go. All right, now it's getting fun. Now we're getting going. Oh, I can smell the sweet smell of crispy American dollars coming my way.
Oh, I'm almost out.
I think that's
Come
where.
on.
Oh, she's out.
You guys targeted me.
What? The computer. What happens if the computer wins, by the way? The computer didn't. Oh! Computer wins.
Computer gets the money.
Computer gets the money. I've never had that happen before.
It has to sit there now.
I get a lot of satisfaction out of coming into this room and sort of sitting down and looking around at machines, not necessarily to play them, but I think the memories that they have for me as a kid and knowing that I've gone through the process of taking the time to sort of, I guess in a way, show them the respect that I have for them because they were a part of my childhood. So to be able to bring them back and just see them there sitting sort of looking like they're ready to play, that's good for me. I don't have to turn them on. A lot of evenings I'll just come down here with my wife and we'll sit and watch some TV and some movies. We don't turn on the games, but we do enjoy being around them, sort of being in that space. And then of course the most wonderful times are when we have a party, we invite groups of friends over, you know, and we see how they react to the games. I like watching people play my games more than playing them myself, if that makes any sense to anyone. I get a lot of satisfaction out of watching people play the games and seeing that joyful reaction. It's cool.